So in this video, we're going to take a look at the two different costumes that we've made, and we're going to see if we can set this lizard in motion. So we're going to go to the coding side of Scratch. Even as I flip back and forth here, you can see I'm kind of getting a little picture of how it might look when we animate. So I'm going to go to the coding side, and I'm going to do a couple of things. First of all, I want to make the lizard a little bit smaller just to visualize what it's going to eventually look like. So I'm going to go into my looks category and I'm going to change the size. For now, we'll say something like 50%, which means just make it half size. And then we're going to throw in a forever loop and we're going to make it switch costumes. And so I'm going to go to you can do switch costume to the next one and you pick it, and that's great if you were switching between, let's say, 3 or 4 different costumes. But in this case, because we're just going back and forth, I'm just going to say next costume. All right, and let's have this all happen on a flag click. And so if I do that, you'll see that it shrunk down to about 50% of the size, but notice that it also is going too fast. So I'm going to come back to the controls, and I'm going to slow down the switch to the next costume by something like 0.2 of a second, 20%. So let's hit flag, and that's starting to look good. Okay, so we're getting the motion of the lizard to go well. Now, depending on the level of detail that you want to put in an animation, you might put another costume between these two and another one afterwards that shows an even more gradual transition between the different costumes. So it would look more fluid. In the case of what we're doing here, I think this is probably enough. I think this is okay to it gives everyone an idea that this thing is walking. So a couple of other things that I might want to make adjustments to are now that it can actually animate, I've got to make it move. So we're going to look a little deeper. One of the things that I can for sure start off with is I want to make sure that when we start, it's going to go to 0, 0. And what that means is I want to make sure that it starts in the center of the stage. Now, depending on a project, that may not work for what you're doing. In my case, having it start in the center of the stage is good. All right, so we're going to do that, and I'm going to put that there. And then we're going to see if we can make it move. Now, the thing about making it move, well, I'm just going to show you. Let's just go to move 10 and go to the next costume, and let's just see what this does. Okay, here's what happens on move. By default, when you move a character, move 10 steps means move 10 steps in the X direction, in the horizontal direction. So I can do a couple of things. I'm going to go the easy route, and I'm going to go to my costumes, and I'm actually just going to flip these guys to the right. So I'm going to hold down my shift key, and I'm going to flip it this way. And notice that I've got the center point here in my graph, so I want to make sure to put that center point. Let's put it right there. This will be the easiest to gauge. Okay, I'm going to take this one, I'll select it all. Again, using my shift key, and put that center point there. Let's see how that looks. So I'm going to go back to my code. I'm going to hit play. Okay, I kind of don't like how it's moving. It looks a little awkward. I'm going to go back to my costumes, and I'm going to say, let me just put this center width around the head as the same sort of horizontal area there. The head's going to be the determining point. Let's give this a try. Okay, that looks a little bit better. It looks more realistic that way. So now I've got him moving. I think he's a little big. I'm going to even cut him down farther down to size. Let's say 25%. There we go. That's looking like a moving lizard. And the other thing is, if I do this, he's going to go off to the edge, and let's see what happens. Okay, he kind of gets stuck there. I don't want him to do that. I want him to bounce when he gets to the edge. And so let's see what this does. If on edge bounce, put that inside the forever loop, and we'll go from here. All right, so now he completely turns around. And that's good enough for now. When we start introducing more objects onto the stage, however, we're going to have to make some further adjustments to this. But I think this is a good intro to motion and how to get a sprite to move across the screen. If we want to give a little bit more of a lifelike behavior to the lizard, we can do a couple of things. So I'm going to go over to my motion blocks and I'm going to pull out a point in direction. Notice that every time we stop and start this animation, the lizard is always pointing in that direction. And that's because we've oriented the costume to go that way. But if we want to vary that up a bit, we can take the point in direction, and under operators, we can grab random, and we can say, let's have a random direction between 1 and 359 degrees. And we can put that up at the top so that whenever it starts, it picks a direction of any degree along that 360 degree circle. Okay? So you can see what happens every time. And this is good randomization for the project that we're doing. The other thing that I want to do, because we see the lizard moving in a straight line, and most animals don't actually walk in an exact straight line, I want to throw in another block here. So I'm going to go back to motion, and I'm going to take one of the turn blocks. This one's the turn right block. And I'm going to add another random. And even though it's a turn right block, if I put a negative number in here and then a positive number in here, what that means is go between negative 15 degrees and positive 15 degrees in any given direction every time I take a step. So let's see what happens here. Okay, so now, although he's going forward, he's not necessarily going in a straight line. And that's really sort of how animals move. They don't move in an exact line. So, and this will, again, randomize between negative 15 and 15 degrees and give our little lizard a little bit more of a lifelike appearance.